From Studio DRC at the Daytona Regional Chamber of Commerce, this is the Crest of the Wave. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Crest of the Wave, the Daytona Regional Chamber's podcast for the Daytona Beach regional business community. My name's Ken Phelps. I'm the Vice President of Resource Development here at the Daytona Regional Chamber, and glad to have you along on another episode. And today we're going to talk about an initiative that is a partnership that the Daytona Regional Chamber has helped initiate and has blossomed with some other organizations in the community. And you may have heard a little bit about it. It's called Readers to Leaders. Today we're going to talk about kind of the history of that. And I'm joined today by two members who are part of the Leadership Daytona Class 43 in 2023 that helped create this, the genesis for this program. And I'm joined by Devin Miller from Brown & Brown and Dr. Michelle Goldys from Daytona State College, both Leadership Daytona alumni. Well, thanks to you both for coming in and having some conversation with us today.
Thank you, Ken. Very excited to be here and glad to have what hopes to be a fruitful conversation.
Happy to be here.
All right. Let's go back. So it's 2023. This is a couple of years ago. Your new enrollees in Leadership Daytona, your organizations have said, okay, you're emerging leaders. Let's help build their professional development. What were your initial thoughts or expectations of Leadership Daytona? Devin, we'll start with you. Like your first thoughts, and you're like, okay, they told me I'm going through Leadership Daytona. I have no idea what to expect. What were your initial thoughts?
My first thought was that it was definitely a compliment for my organization to be nominated to participate in the very first place. And if I'm being completely honest, it was a little bit intimidating. I didn't really know what to expect or who my classmates might be. I knew that I was probably going to be one of the younger, earlier in my career candidates, and that was a little intimidating. So showing up to the very first meeting was a little bit nervous, but I quickly, found out there's a bunch of normal people that put their pants on, their shoes on, just same way as I do, and it was a fast start from there, but that was the beginning stage for me.
All right. Michelle, what are your thoughts?
I knew a little bit about it. Several people from Daytona State had been through it. I know several people kept saying, wait till you get to SimSoc, but wouldn't tell me what that was. But otherwise, very excited, enjoy making connections in the community, and I thought it would be really great to continue strengthening that. But didn't really have an expectation other than wait and see what happened when we got there.
Well, and you didn't have to wait very long. So one of the, for those of you that have not gone through Leadership Daytona, one of the very first things that's done in the opening session is the sitting chair of the board for the Daytona Regional Chamber issues a challenge to the class that is worked on outside of the curriculum of Leadership Daytona. It's kind of an executive MBA style project. Our chair that year was Nellie Lupoli from ICI Homes, who very passionate supporter of public education. She laid the gauntlet down for Class 43 and said there are some challenges with the percentages of students that are in third grade reading at or above grade level, and laid down a challenge to the class to help raise awareness of that. So first time coming in, you're just meeting all of these people who you're going to go through this experience with. You've known them all of about 45 minutes, and then you get this challenge laid in front of you. When you first heard her challenge, let me back up a little bit. Tell our listeners and viewers like what the challenge was, and then what were your initial reactions to that level of a project. Michelle, let's start with you this time.
I definitely didn't know that we were getting a project in that, and so having just wrapped up working on my doctorate was a little, wore down
you thought
from
you were
that.
Done with
yes,
homework.
and I'm like, okay, but it was. It is exciting. I work in education, so do get excited about completing projects and a new task and a new challenge, but definitely taken aback. It was a statistic I wasn't familiar with, so learning about what the third grade reading scores were both in Volusia County and also in our state was a shocking number. I think everyone left that day like, okay. And then immediately my brain goes to, okay, how do we solve that? And then settling with what the actual challenge was, which was raising awareness of those scores in the community.
Devin, what was your first reaction?
My first reaction was a bit of surprise that this was the challenge being tasked to us. Based on our geography and our economic drivers, there are a couple other ideas that may be more prominent or more on the forefront of your mind. But to hear that we had such a challenge in public education, and for the audience, the specific challenge was our reading scores, the number of students was at 50% for the county. that was stunning for me. I couldn't believe that only half of our kids were, on grade level reading and, vis-a-vis on the path to success, if you will, at least academically. So that was stunning.
I know one of the things that sometimes I think people struggle with a statistic like that, and I hope here at the Chamber and through programs like Readers to Leaders, we're helping to increase the understanding of why that's important. But the two of you bring different perspectives to the importance of that benchmark. And for those that don't know, third grade is kind of the linchpin, the critical point in a student's career, because that's when students stop learning to read and they start reading to learn. And that's a critical, but it's a subtle but critical change in their educational career. Devin, let's start with you. You're coming in, the young single, no kids. How long did it take, and what was it that made the connection for you to understand why this is important to the business community?
Sure. To give you my perspective, I do not have any kids, single guy, at least unmarried. I do have a beautiful girlfriend at home. Hi, Riley. And so for me, the issue at hand was much more immediately relevant to my classmates, those with kids or who had been through the school system, perhaps less shocked than I was. And for me, my education is the number one thing that I'm grateful for in my life. It's what's allowed me to have a fast start early in my career and is the foundation of everything I've built so far in my time here. And I was very proud of it. I was very proud of the college that I went to and to be a good student growing up. And so it was very important to me intrinsically, not because of I had a kid that I depended on to have a good experience in the school system. But I definitely have gotten some funny looks as Michelle and Ken and I have gone on the road show, if you will, to share our mission, including today, of why does this guy care about literacy in third grade? What's it mean to him? So for me, it was an intrinsic thing that I couldn't believe that other people were having such a negative experience, or at least half of our students were not having the same experience I had.
Michelle,
your take was a little more personal.
Sure.
So talk about that a little bit.
Yep. So my daughter was in second grade when we started this challenge. So I knew that testing started, but you kind of learn as your child is going through the grades and going through the motions. And so this kind of teed up, okay, these are the expectations. These are the challenges that you're going to encounter, once your child gets to third grade. And then also immediately trying to relate, okay, thinking of all the things that the school was doing, the things that were coming home in her packet, her folder every week, and thinking about what her and her classmates that she's been with, most of the kids in her class she's been with since kindergarten. So just thinking about what this looks like as they progress and get into third grade, what those expectations were going to be like, and what that testing impact really was and how far that carries throughout their educational journey.
So let's talk about the kind of the research that the class starts on. It's the very opening session. You get this challenge laid before you, and the goal is to raise business community awareness. And so that's even different than raising community awareness, because it's a very targeted market, and it's Devin, as you referenced, a group that may not make a logical connection to why this is important to them. Talk a little bit about how the class kind of underwent learning about the challenge, the research that was done on why this is important. Michelle, let's start with you. Let's talk about that process a little bit.
Just like I'm sure with every class, our amazing Class 43 had a wide array of people from different business and professional backgrounds. And so naturally, most people, we were trying to solve it at first. We were trying to create new things. We were trying to think of, okay, what can we do? What are the things we can do and put out? When then we slowly had to peel that back to say, okay, well, wait, what's already out there? And then, everyone started thinking about the connections that they have in the community and the things that maybe their business or their company were already doing, contributions that they're already making, whether it's monetary or time or donation, things like that. And then how we could leverage those connections or the funding to support what we have now started identifying. We started working towards a list of what initiatives are already existing in the community and kind of what we know is already taking place.
Devin, your thoughts?
In taking a second to really think about the task at hand, which I believe that Nellie was very intentional in the way she stated it, our goal was not to solve this reading crisis. It was to bring awareness to the reading crisis. And so, like Michelle said, you have 25 eager minds that want to solve the problem. Go out and collect checks from donors, put out collaterals, and tackle this issue. And I think where our real progress was made was when we took a step back and we did a research. We put together a whole business plan. We had a list of targets of who we were going to reach out to first. And in that research, we realized there are some very talented people that are working on solving this problem every single day. And our efforts were going to be best used at amplifying their work. And that's when our gears shifted and turned towards making that the priority.
Did you have any challenge bringing the class together in that consensus, or did it emerge pretty easily?
I would say that there were a couple different groups of people researching independently. I would say maybe 3 to 4 different groups of folks. And I think we all got to the same point independently, but at the same time. And when we realized when our efforts would be best used to combine each of those research groups and really agree on our mission, which was to amplify, not solve, that's when we really came together as a group.
And it's like with any group project, right? You have everybody's kind of out, that's why you ask this question in interview, how do you work with a group? And just everyone kind of went out and kind of explored what their thoughts were first, and then we continued to kind of come together and create cohesion in all of not only all the ideas, but also leveraging the strength of each person in the group. We had people that were amazing at creating business plans and, leveraging those strengths to say, okay, let's pull our resources, let's put our effort into combining all the ideas and really finding the strongest kind of avenue to pursue this together instead of 12 different ways.
I think, isn't that everybody's favorite educational career memory, whether high school, college,
A
whatever?
group project.
Working on a group project. Isn't that always the best?
Yes.
So we've got, I will say on behalf of the Chamber and our team here, but I know in talking with folks at the Early Learning Coalition and at Volusia County Schools, one of the things they want to do is thank you for not creating another program.
Yeah.
Duplicating resources seems to be just such an incredible waste of time. But now that we've got this program here, it has emerged as Readers to Leaders. We brought together a group of people to, give it a logo and a mission, kind of some direction. Talk about your experience to this point. We've rolled this out. December of 24 was kind of the first public unveiling to a Leadership Daytona alumni meeting, and it's had some traction here with some different activities we've done in the first half of 2025. Talk about the importance of and the success we've had so far in getting the business community kind of to come to some different things, learn a little bit about it, get some buy-in on that.
It's been super encouraging to see the momentum that we've helped make, or at least carry forward, and where that's continuing to go even 2 years later as we record this podcast. There are many different circles professionally and civically that we're all involved in. And this is a talking point that you hear about often. A lot of the movers and shakers, if you will, around the community know what we're doing. It's something that they're not surprised to hear about. And if we think back to our initial goal, hopefully that means that it's working or it's on its way.
And there hasn't been one group or organization we've talked to that hasn't said, how can we help? Even when we went and we spoke at the Volusia County School Board meeting, the Futures Foundation immediately said, wait a minute, we'd like to help. And so that continued out through the Futures Foundation. So very appreciative of the work that both Volusia County Schools and the Futures Foundation are already doing, and then their continued support of the collaboration to join with not only our class project, but also all of these organizations. And the work that the Early Learning Coalition has done in the community is amazing. And just having them combine even more with Volusia County Schools, I think, has been very impactful as a collaboration out of this initiative.
I think one of the things that's been most exciting for me, and I was a passionate public education supporter long before even starting here at the Chamber, to see this come together as to bring kind of almost two passions of mine to come together to really benefit the community. One of the things is to get people to understand that literacy it's an apolitical issue. It's across all socioeconomic backgrounds. Obviously, if a family has resources, they get a little bit of a head start. But you could be from a very well-to-do family, and if you're not if you don't have the books in front of you, or if you don't have people investing in teaching you to read, you'll have the same negative impacts that somebody from a lesser socioeconomic status might have. I also find it's a very emotional topic. So I want to ask you both about one of the activities that we've done in launching this. Back in March, we did a screening of the literacy documentary Sentenced, produced by Steph Curry and Aisha Curry, well-known NBA star and actress, that followed, it did justice by creating awareness of the issue by following the lives of people and kind of telling their stories. Remarkable things that people normalize that wouldn't be part of our day-to-day existence, in most cases. Devin, I'll ask you first, because I know, I should say I know you had an emotional response to it. Everybody did that was at the screening. Absolutely. There was not a dry eye in the theater when we were watching that. But when you saw that documentary, can you talk about how that impacted your view of this issue, and knowing the work that you'd already done to that point, and did it give it even a greater sense of gravity when you saw that?
Absolutely. My first recommendation would be to say bring a box of tissues with you. I was told this by everyone that had pre-screened the documentary, and I didn't listen, and I was wiping tears away about 25 minutes into it, but it made it intensely tangible, is the way I would put it. There are people in this world, I think everyone wants to be able to read and contribute and be a team player and an additive member of society, right? If you can't even read to be able to ask for help, that is a pretty helpless place. And that's what Sentenced chronicles, was 3 different people from 3 very different geographic parts of the country, from 3 different cultural backgrounds, that have the same Achilles heel, which is they can't even get off the ground to ask for help because they can't read. Some practical examples of, there's the common adage of just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, if you can't read the instruction label on your bootstraps, you can't get off the ground. So that's really where it hit home for me and reignited the fire.
Michelle, what were your thoughts having watched that film and kind of sitting in that for a moment? How did you react?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it just brings home the importance of how far, we talked about the impact of not being able to read at grade level in 3rd grade, and how that basically can set you up for not being as successful throughout the rest of your K-12 journey and beyond. And that film really kind of brought that home and just reinforce the importance of making sure that families know about the resources that exist. So much of this is free of charge and available. It's just getting it in the hands of people in the community. And so really just, again, rejuvenating you. We're already over a year into this initiative, and just that really rejuvenates a desire to, okay, how can we, our previous, she's actually left the college now, but our previous director of our adult high school at the college immediately was like, my whole staff needs to see this. This reinforces why we're here. This just brings new life into showing you why what we do matters so much, and really what an impact it can make.
So your comment about how do we get people to be connected to this issue, and how do they contribute and help is a great segue to the kind of the last segment I want to touch on, and that is the Readers to Leaders brochure. It really is. When somebody asks me, okay, what is Readers to Leaders, and when you boil it down, it is really just the document, but it's updated regularly. So, Devin, would you share a little bit about kind of what information is included in that, and how people can access that?
Absolutely. So our main goal is really centralizing all of the resources that are out there. We believe, based on data, based on the people that are experts that do this every single day, again, we're leaning on you, is that literacy is a lifelong journey, and it starts way earlier than most people think. It starts on day 1 from being taken home from the hospital. So making sure that there are children's books available for newborns that parents can read to them is really where it starts, and where we would like to help people get engaged to this journey. If it happens a few months or years later down the road, that's the next best time to engage them. So working with the folks at the Early Learning Coalition and in the Volusia County schools is really centralizing all the resources. we like to think that there are people that need to be connected to them to help with literacy, and then there are also people on the other side of the coin that want to help. And that's also where that's the second pillar of where we've centralized our resources. Talking about the time, talent, and treasure are the three ways to give. Michelle, I'll let you run with it a little bit.
Yeah, I think that really is the core of where we landed on after realizing what things already exist in the community. How do we put this in the hands of the community in a way that allows you to now invest yourself in some way? And everyone has something to give. Is it your time, learning, again, going back to what we found from the Early Learning Coalition, there's such a wealth of resources for the community, the little free libraries. But if you have the time to help fill them, there is a need for volunteers to fill those little free libraries. Do you have children's books that your children no longer need? Can you go donate the books and then go fill them? Volunteering in classrooms, all over the county in all grade levels to come in and read to the children or support the many activities they have throughout the community. Do you want to come volunteer your time? Do you have money that you'd like to donate to support these initiatives? We learned a lot about the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which, I will continue bragging about forever. I was a grateful recipient of that. My daughter received books for the first 5 years of her life, free of charge once a month. But learning through this challenge that that's not free, that the Early Learning Coalition is now responsible for paying for that. And that's where, we come in and members of the community can donate. And, remember Brown & Brown was matching, which was amazing. So just such an amazing blend of organizations in the community coming together to identify what the needs are and to then help contribute whatever that looks like for you. There's something that we can all give to continue supporting this.
Well, I want to commend you both because I commend you both on behalf of the rest of your class, because there were many others that were part of the class that brought this together. But it really, I think you nailed the challenge, even if it took a minute to distill what is that and what is the class going to do about it. But making everybody aware that you don't have to be able to write a big check to have a huge impact in your community by bringing them together. So thank you for the work you've done to this point, the work you're going to do going forward. It's been a pleasure to be part of this journey to help kind of take the momentum that you have brought to the table to really move it forward in a positive way for the community. So thanks to you both for that.
Thank you, Ken. Yeah, we're grateful to represent the 23 other classmates of Leadership Daytona Class 43. And if we were to boil it all down, for me, our philosophy is that 1 + 1 can equal 3. So we're just trying to do some math along with some reading here.
Very good. Well, thanks to you both. This is going to be this is just the first of 2 parts of the Crest of the Wave. So in the next episode, we're going to take the readers to leaders from the point that it's been rolled out, and we're going to talk with our friends Allison Miller from the Early Learning Coalition of Flagler Volusia and Christy Castellanos from Volusia County Schools to talk about the actual impact it's having in students. And I'm excited to sit and chat with them as well. And I would imagine there's going to be kind of almost a proud parent moment for you and the rest of Class 43 to say, look at what our project is having an impact. So thank you. Anything else that you would want to share before we wrap up on kind of the experience, the project, a message you would have for our listeners or viewers on maybe how they can get involved?
I just want to add also, a thank you to former chair Nellie Lupoli and also the Chamber for giving this not only the awareness, but also the project legs. You've let us continue, you let us run with it, you've supported, and you've helped us keep it going. So in some ways an accountability buddy, but also helping us continue giving us this platform and access to the community to make sure that we do not only provide exposure, but also continue enhancing this as things grow in the community.
Yeah, and I would say please visit the website of the Daytona Regional Chamber. There's a drop-down for the Readers to Leaders program, which is regularly updated so that it's current. We continue adding resources to it, and that is where you can learn about resources to connect with the program and also keep fueling it.
Yeah. So if you work for a company that has, paid volunteer time or something like that, that's a great opportunity to be able to participate in the Readers to Leaders program, have an impact not only on the life of maybe your child, but your child's friends or just youth in the community in general. So thanks again to you both, not only for the work you've done on Readers to Leaders, but for coming in today and sharing a little bit about the experience and the journey. I hope it was a fun trip down memory lane for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ken.
All right, very good. So we want to remind you, you can go to DaytonaChamber.com to check out the Readers to Leaders brochure. It is updated as a new program becomes available, and we're made aware of it here. We add it to that document. We're excited for the next part of Crest of the Wave to learn a little bit about the impact it's having in our early learning centers, in our public schools. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how quickly an impact can be made. So with that, we're going to close this episode of Crest of the Wave. I want to remind you to share if you see this on social media, if you're following us on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, subscribe wherever you like to listen to podcasts. That will get you updated every time there's new content like this released. So with that, we'll bring this episode to a close. I want to thank you both again for being here with us today. And thank you for watching and listening. And we'll see you next time on Crest of the Wave. So long, everybody. If you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to subscribe wherever you like to listen to podcasts. For more information on our business community, visit our website at DaytonaChamber.com. Until next time, be ready to catch the next Crest of the Wave.